Hello, and welcome to day 38. And today we'll be analyzing the same thing, the same markets we analyzed yesterday. So it's going to be Euro USD, XAU USD, and BTC USD. And if you haven't watched it, if you haven't watched yesterday's pre-market analysis video, I'll link it to this video right here, and you can watch it because I'm just going to go over what is currently happening. So if you want the full details, you have to watch yesterday's pre-market analysis video. Okay, so on Euro USD, we were bullish and we are still bullish. Okay, why? Because price is still in a buy side liquidity. Price ended up using this demand to give, using this demand to give this impulse right now. Okay, and yesterday we got to a daily support or resistance, and that daily support or resistance gave a reaction, and that was a reaction back into this 1 hour demand, which is currently giving an impulse. So what will be our next target on Euro USD since the first support or resistance has been touched? The next target will be this target right here. Since we've used this, there's our second probable target for price today if you are to continue the bullish impulse. So yes, I'll be anticipating for buys back to break this support or resistance and get to this support or resistance before we get to the supply sitting here. And let me get this out. So how do I mark my zones? This is how I mark a supply, sorry. A supply should be something like this. Okay, so this is where we'll have our supply. As anywhere inside here can be our supply. So how do I then mark my support or resistances? The support or resistances, if I should put it this way, they protect the supply. Okay, support and resistances protect supply and demand. Or we can say that before you get to a supply or before you get to a supply or demand, you first have to go through a support or resistance. And now the support or resistance will decide if you have to break it and get to the supply or demand or not. Just as what happened yesterday, the daily support or resistance gave a reaction back into a demand. Okay, so yes, this will be the support right here. And how is the support or resistance marked? The very last, let me show you here. Okay, so in this scenario right here, where would be our support or resistance? Okay, now before we get to this supply sitting right here, this candlestick low, it's close at the support or resistance area. Okay, so it's like where price gave a halt, where we saw the last low or the last close before price went up to create a supply and invalidating those lows. Okay, so in this scenario, our first support or resistance will be here. Second will be the close of the candlestick. We could also mark this one right here. Okay, so here we have 3 support or resistance areas, which can probably give a reaction before price gets to a supply, or which can directly change the character of the market. Okay, so we know that if we are heading into a supply, or if we are in a supply, there's a high probability that we can get some sells. Okay, we can anticipate for some sells, but in this scenario, price can get to the support or resistances and give that impulse from there without even touching the supply. Okay, so that is how the support or resistances are drawn. These doesn't count as a good area of support or resistances, okay, though they are though price invalidated them, okay, but that doesn't mean they are good areas of support or resistances. All right, the best support or resistances are going to be these lows that are protecting this supply right here. Okay, as simple as that. So when we go to the daily time frame, just as I marked, I have to delay to this. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. I have to delete this and go to the daily time frame. What is the support, or which support? Sorry, guys. Which support or resistance is currently protecting a supply or a demand in here? Okay. So as we can see from this side, we could see that all these all these support or resistance is protecting these demands has been broken. Okay, so now the demands are the one currently in play. Okay, and when we look at this side too, when we look at this side, we could also see that we have a supply here which hasn't been touched. And before we get to before we get to that supply, we would have to what? Face this low, this low, this low, this low, this low, before we even what? Touch the supply. Okay, so that is how the support or resistances are drawn in confluence with a supply. Okay, so as simple as that. So currently on Euro USD on the 1 hour time frame, or in general on Euro USD, the market is still bullish. We are still bullish on Euro USD. XAU USD. So yesterday I said that XAU USD is bearish. When would we invalidate our bearish move? Will be if this supply right here is broken. Okay, so and yesterday it happened to the T. The bears came in from this supply right here. Yesterday I literally said this supply could also be used as a sell side liquidity. Okay, yes, because it's in confluence with this supply right here. And yes, price did that to the T. Price gave the bearish volume down. Okay, so now where is XAU USD heading to? On the daily time frame, we can see the XAU USD is heading to the weekly supply right here. Okay, so the next target for XAUUSD is to this weekly supply. This weekly demand, and this weekly demand will determine if gold would like to continue its all-time high movement or continue bearish. Okay, so on XAUUSD, the market is still bearish. And on BTC USD is also bearish, as I said yesterday. BTC USD is in a monthly demand. BTC USD is in a monthly demand. Okay, and in this monthly demand, price is still bearish inside it. Okay, we would have to invalidate this high for us to be in a bullish move. Okay, so yes, that is it for today. BTC USD is bearish. XAU USD still bearish and has a potential to reach the weekly demand. And on Euro USD, we are still bullish. So yes, that is it for today, guys. Thank you for watching this video. I would be very happy if you like, subscribe, and leave a comment on how you think or just your opinions on my videos. Thank you once again and see you in the post-market breakdown. Peace out.